The coaches are in. When you need a timely, transparent friend, tune into the coaches are in. Talking career, business, health, and wealth. You've got a friend now into the coaches are in. With authenticity, come on, let's take a seat and tune in.
Welcome back to another episode of The Coaches Are In. We're excited to have you joining us again tonight.
Yes.
I am Dr. Cherita Weatherspoon, CEO of Powerhouse Coaching and founder, creative director, and all of those things. I get to The Coaches Are In. I am a business strategist and alignment coach for Black women entrepreneurs.
And I'm Dr. Malaika Turner. I'm the CEO and founder of The Speaker LLC. I don't say this often, but I'm also the host of the Pivot podcast and your confidence coach here on The Coaches Are In.
And I am Allison Garrett, your behavioral interventionist. I work with professional women over 40 to help them understand what's blocking their breakthrough without years of therapy.
All right, and we are the coaches on The Coaches Are In.
Yes.
All right, so here's what we have for you on this episode.
Viewer question.
Yes.
What they need.
All right. Listen good. I have a good job. I enjoy what I do, but I'm not passionate about it. I really want to start my own business, and I already know what I want to do, but I'm worried about the risks. What if I fail? What if I can't handle working full time and running a business? What if I'm just not cut out to be a business owner? That's a lot of questions in there.
It is.
Wow, that
a lot of questions.
is power packed. It's just for you.
Just for me.
Yeah, get her through.
Okay, so I might actually have to repeat some of that.
Part one.
Well, so we want to hone in on that mindset first.
Okay.
Okay. So there are definitely some mindset challenges here. Mm-hmm. So all of these what if questions, but they're not even what if positive questions. What if I succeed? Yes. What if I blow up? What if I make $1 million? Right. No, it's, what if I fail? What if I can't handle being a business owner? Mm-hmm. What if I'm not cut out for business? Or what if I can't handle, working full time and being a business owner? What if? I mean, those are some powerful words, and the shame of it is that what if prevents so many of us from doing the things that we are capable of doing and that we're called to do. Now, it is possible that you might fail.
Mm-hmm. In anything.
It's actually likely that you're going to fail the first time.
Right.
But so what?
Mm-hmm.
So what?
Exactly.
One failure is really just part of your learning process.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the end all be all. It doesn't mean because you failed, you can't start over, you can't do it again, you can't try it again, that you won't ever be successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we just reposition or reposture those words and think in the positive, what if I do succeed? What if I love my business more than I enjoy this work that I do?
Right.
What if I teach my children about entrepreneurship through my pursuit of it? How is that going to change their lives?
Right.
What if I do make $1 million?
Right.
All
right. Very
I hear that song.
Right. What if I change the financial trajectory of my family's life because I go after this thing that I'm passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many ways you can ask that question, and I challenge you to begin to ask it in a positive way rather than in a negative way. And not to be afraid of failure. It's a part of life.
Mm-hmm.
It is a part of life. Just think differently about what failure is. Like I said, it's part of the learning process. You learn what didn't work. Now you know to do something different next time.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So now if we look at the practical part of what she's asking about, kind of how to get started and how do I go about this. Take it one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
One, you don't have to quit your job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
probably don't quit your job.
Right. It's not a one thing or the other. So I wouldn't even, think about this early in the stage. What if you can't handle both? If your business grows to the point that you have to make a decision, that's actually a good place to be in, right? So you have choices at that point. Do I want to keep this as kind of a part-time thing and keep working full-time, or do I want to grow it even further and then step away from my job?
Right.
It is great to have choices, but you'll make that decision when you get there. You don't have to worry about that today, and you haven't even started the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would say is to, one, get some help, because starting a business is not for the faint at heart.
Say that again.
It's not for the faint at heart, and you really don't want to be alone in this thing, right? You want people, or at least one person, who can support you, who can help you think through some of your challenges, help you talk through some of your ideas, and help minimize the number of mistakes that you're inevitably going to make along the way, right? So get some support, figure out exactly who it is that you want to serve, because you're not serving everybody, even if you think you can or you should. Everybody is the audience for your service or product. That's not true. But that's a whole nother conversation. But figure out who you're going to serve, how exactly you're going to serve them. How are you going to package up this thing that you're passionate about, and how are you going to price it and sell it in the marketplace? How are you going to sell it in the marketplace? Think through all of those things. And let me tell you now, you don't have to have everything in order. If you have been paying any attention to online marketing, things like that. Everyone's talking about funnels and automation and all of that. Sis, don't worry about that right now. You don't even have an offer that people are willing to pay for yet. Okay? So before you make the investment in all of those things, because it is an investment, you need to test your idea in the market and validate it. Do people want this? Do the people that you want to serve want this?
Right.
Are they willing to pay for it? Are they willing to pay the price that you want to charge for it? Okay. Because sometimes you find through experience that you have to tweak things a little bit. And again, it's not failure. It's a lesson learned, and you do different the next time. But the important thing is to really get your idea packaged and out into the marketplace to make sure that you have a legitimate business. And then once you do that, then we can start building out things to grow that and get you to the point where you're ready to make a decision about whether you're going full-time in your business or it's still just going to be a part-time thing. I'm trying to avoid saying side hustle. Girl, we don't believe in hustling around here. We believe in operating in alignment and flow, okay? Whether it's part-time or full-time.
Alignment and flow.
Yes, alignment and flow. But that's where I would start out. But I want to emphasize not going at it alone, because entrepreneurship can be a challenging and difficult experience. It is probably more of a personal development journey than anything else, along with parenting and marriage.
Right. And put them all together.
Yes.
She doesn't even realize she just got this. This is free
information. Yes.
This costs money right here.
That's right.
I need you to write it down, sis. I need you to be writing this down.
Yes. But don't go it alone. Get some support. And I don't mean support from your family members who've never owned a business before, or your friends who don't know anything about entrepreneurship. Get with someone who knows what they're doing, what they're talking about, and can really help you on this journey and minimize the time it takes you to start making money and to grow your business and get you to that point where now you have some decisions to make.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think you wrap that up with a bow.
Yeah.
So beautifully.
Yes.
And everything that you said brought me to the point of that last part that you said about the family and friends, right? I read other people all up in this question because the things that, like, I don't think people in themselves come up with the ideas of what if I fail, or what if I'm not cut out to be a business owner. And I'm just speculating, but that sounds like somebody may have said that a time or two. Is maybe you're not cut out for this. Maybe you should, you're full-time. It's a good job, right? These are things that people say to us that make us doubt our decision on even thinking about becoming an entrepreneur.
But what they say is, I'm just trying to help you think through some things that you probably haven't thought through. And you're like, no, you're right.
They're trying to protect you.
Yeah, it's maybe you are.
It's masked as protection. They but I think you said it, they don't know.
Right.
When you don't really have the knowledge, people are naturally going to try to take you down the path that they took or that they're safe. So if you don't have any business owners in your family, you may have everyone who talks about like retiring, right? You're supposed to get a good job,
but stay there for 30 years
and retire, and then do what you want to do.
That's the truth, though. I think that is the makeup of our world today. I do think that there is more of and I don't want to get in trouble for this. I don't mean it's wrong to work 9 to 5. I work 9 to 5. But what I'm saying is, I think our world system is built that way. That's what we learned growing up.
Right.
I don't. Did any of us have entrepreneur parents?
No, but there's some movers and shakers out there in the world now that it's almost making you second guess having a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
they're like, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Like people are looking at us like, I don't want to go to work and do that and come home and late nights and early mornings. I want to just open my Instagram and make a whole lot of money.
It's not. I know, because they don't tell you the behind the scenes, the work that it takes. I would ask her though, what is your track record? Because you probably have a track record of doing well or succeeding in other things, but this seems so much bigger and so much harder that now you're forgetting about your track record. So it's something to think about.
And something else that comes to mind is in working through some of these thoughts and challenges is really being clear. Right? I sense a lack of clarity about the business, the idea. So even what you said as far as, put some things out there, see what it is, get some things under your belt so you know what's working, because all this doubt is coming likely from a place where you haven't tried anything.
Exactly.
So you're naturally going to automatically think like, what if it doesn't work? We're like, well, what is it?
And pray.
You don't know.
I'm telling. Listen, pray. And don't ask God to give you some clarity and take all this, confusion, right, out of your purview, because that's what it is, right? And a lot of times that stifles you, right? You'll just stay in confusion.
Oh, right.
You just, well, let me ask this person. I've been there. You just keep asking, or
enough.
How many
God
times?
is giving you the
How
same.
many times you gotta get
God is giving you the same answer. Right. Just going through.
Yeah, you probably have enough to get started.
That's right.
Even if you don't have all the answers.
Exactly.
And there's this idea of how it's supposed to look.
That's true.
So you stuck on that, and it may not even be that. Right, so you got to do a little bit more digging so that you actually have clarity of what it is that you want to do, and you will naturally be led. You get more on your way than you do just sitting still. So you'll be led to that next thing, that next opportunity, that next person that has the next step in to share with you. But if you're just like, oh, I'm afraid, you're going to keep getting more of that.
Exactly.
Right. And, I go back to her talking about enjoying the work that she's doing currently. And she's probably good at it, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about your track record. And one of the things I talk about with my clients is their transferable skills, because a lot of people are like, no, I've never ran a business before. I don't know what it's like to be in entrepreneurship. I don't know if I'm built for this.
Yes.
And most people are not born entrepreneurs.
Right.
Some people are born salesmen or salespeople. but they're not necessarily born entrepreneurs.
Right.
Like it really is a skill set that you have to learn and develop and get good at. Some of it can be gotten through education and training, but some of it it's just experience.
Right.
You got to be it to become it. If that makes sense.
For sure.
But I like to have my clients actually reflect back on the skills that they're using in their current work.
Right.
Because a lot of that is transferable
Exactly.
to entrepreneurship
Exactly.
if you think about it.
Exactly.
Most people are just like, well, I do this, but I don't know if I can do that.
Because you're comparing to somebody else and the way they do it too.
Right,
You're
right.
looking at all the wrong things.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you are managing a department at work,
Oh yeah.
you probably can manage your own team.
Right.
Like you're already
Right.
doing that, right? If you are, if communications is a big part of your role at work, marketing is about communication.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
exactly.
And there's so many ways that you can do different things in business that it allows you the opportunity to choose the way that's best for you. So you don't have to do what I'm doing, what Dr. Malaika is doing, what Coach Allison is doing. You can do it the way that works for you and that brings you the most joy and fulfillment.
Exactly.
Yes. And something else with you saying that, you don't always have to be, this is my belief, you don't always have to be passionate about what the business is, but you have to be passionate about the mission and the vision behind the business. And that will naturally bring some things into play that'll help you design the business created the way it should. So if you're looking at this cookie cutter, this is the type of business that I'm going to have, you really have to kind of look at it like, what are those things that are really important to me so I can infuse that in this business. And that's where the passion comes from.
Right.
So what I like about that, because I want to just add on to that, is that the way your business looks at the time you launch it is likely not what it's going to look like a year later, 3 years later, 5 years later.
Because of growth.
Growth, but also you do and you learn.
Right.
So there, you have this initial iteration of your business. And you work that, and then you're like, okay, I like this, I don't like that. I like working with these people, I don't like working with these people. I don't like marketing that way, but I really like this. And, maybe I don't want to do one-on-one work. I'd rather do group, or maybe I don't want to do group, I want to do one-on-one. I'd rather speak, I'd rather train. But you don't know it until you start doing it. And you're not stuck with the thing that you started with. You can always redesign, reframe it, relaunch.
And that is the great thing about having your own business. I can't change, again, working in your 9 to 5, I can impact, I can't change that. I can't change that.
I'm getting trouble.
I'm there to enhance the mission and rewrite it, if you will. But when it's your own, and the one thing I was going to say is, I think one of you mentioned the whole idea of getting help. You're not alone. Nowadays, there are folks out there, there are people who want to be personal assistants, virtual assistants, who will do a lot of the work that you can't do. But it's really important to you've got to be able to relinquish this feel of like, I got it, I'll do it, it's my business. Trust me, it's important to be able to trust others to be able to do that work.
And you can't trust others if you're not clear on what it is.
That's true.
So you got to, that's back to the basics.
That's good.
Yes. So I think that's the end of our response to this question. And I think we probably gave her a little bit more than what she was.
She has a business plan.
That's right. Yes. But I hope that all of you who are tuning in, who have business aspirations, or maybe are already operating in your business and maybe feeling, a little confused or, frustrated or whatever, that you got something out of that as well. Now, before we move to our next segment, we're going to let you hear a word from one of our sponsors.
Are you a woman over 40 feeling trapped in your own life? Are you yearning to break free from the barriers that hold you back? Then look no further. Introducing Prison Break Coaching, the solution to your liberation. We understand that you want to live your impossible dream without spending years in therapy. Say goodbye to limitations and hello to the life you've always desired.
All right, ladies. So we are here for our next segment. And today we have with us Toresha Foster, who is a funding and credit coach. I'm going to let her tell you what that is and tell you what she does.
Yes. So my name is Toresha Foster. Like Cherita said, I basically help people start, grow, and scale their businesses with the help of business funding. But of course, people aren't always necessarily in a position where they can get business funding. So then I'm actually able to structure their credit profile correctly. That way they ultimately are reaching their goal where they can get business funding.
Okay, great. So we're excited to have Toresha with us, not just today, but she is kind of our resident money coach this season. So she'll be back for a couple more episodes to share her expertise with you. But for this episode, we want to talk a little bit about money mindset, right?
I love it.
Now, given the work that you do, credit, and then funding, you meet a lot of people who want money, but may not be in a position to get money.
Yes.
And sometimes that, of course, is kind of situational, but even situations probably are the situations they are because of money mindset issues.
Yes.
So what are like some of the, or maybe what is the main or most consistent money mindset issue that you see across your clients?
Right. So as far as the money mindset, I think a lot of people think that, one, because I ask people, even on like the funding aspect, okay, why do you, because I do consultation calls and I don't take all clients because the last thing I'm going to do is mess up your credit because you just think that you're going to have a free $100,000. So the major thing is that when it comes to money mindset, I think people don't value much. They don't really, how can I put it? They don't really value money the way that they should. So they just see money as like, money is a tool, right? It can like either put you down or it can bring you up. So a lot of people don't see money as like a tool. They don't sharpen their skills on money. They just think like, oh, and money doesn't solve issues either, guys. Like the more money you have, the more problems. Seriously. So I think the major thing is what their money mindset is that they don't realize, they don't see it as a tool. They see it as just something that they can just spend freely, and they just think that's just gonna keep circulating and come back to their pockets, but it doesn't. And that's why, again, a lot of people, when I'm doing the consultation calls too, a lot of them, their credit isn't where it needs to be. Why? Because they just think that they can just spend money, not pay their bills, spend their money on the Louis bags, Chanel bags, you know, but the guys want to buy the Jordans, the J's, the ones, the breads, but then they're not taking care of home at all. So their money mindset, they don't see it as a tool, which they really need to see it as a tool.
So in your work, how do you get people to get to that point where they view money differently? Right.
So I love when I do these calls. I'll just take it back to the consultation call because, again, I ask them, you know, what goals do you have in your business, or like what type of business are you looking to start? And everybody knows, like, you know, the beautiful colors that they want in their business. They know the name, but they don't have a plan at all. Again, it's just like, because I'm like, once you get the money, right, and the 0% interest is up, and now you are no longer making a minimum payment of $30, that went to $300. What's your plan? What's your plan? So I always ask them, like, what are your goals? Besides, okay, our goal is everybody wants to make money. That's cool. But you really have to have like a mission statement or just have a bigger why besides money. Because again, once you start making the money and you don't have a solid plan, then you're just going to, I'm not going to say go bankrupt, but your business won't flourish if you're just really consistently focusing on money. So, I mean, some people say, oh yeah, for my family, I'm going to do it for my family. Okay, why? I ask a lot of whys, right? Why? And sometimes they get, most of them, they don't get frustrated, but they get stuck. But some people will, they're like, I've had some people ask me like, well, this is do a quick side note. Even when I sold cars, when I worked for Enterprise, Enterprise has a nice pay scale where it's not commission based. Like your salary, you get a commission, but it's not like 3%. So even if I sold you a Tahoe versus a little putt, I still get paid the same.
Okay.
So, in that aspect, like I tell people, as far as like the why, because people are like, well, why aren't you just supposed to just sell me a car? Like, why are you telling me not to get this? And I'm like, because I want you to have a quality vehicle, and you're not going to be calling me 2 hours down the line. I mean, two years down the line, like, yo, T, you sold me a piece of crap. And I'm like, listen. So same thing. I take a lot of things from Enterprise, Airmark, and Amazon. I work for all those companies, and I feel like that's why I'm really good at what I do, because I'm able to take certain aspects that was always customer facing positions that I had, and then I moved into management. So when I conduct these phone calls, I treat everyone as like an associate, or like even a business partner. Like, are you a good fit to be my business partner? Even if I'm not intrigued with your business, if you have like a solid foundation of what it is that you want to do, and even if you don't have everything figured out, but you have like certain whys, I can help you get to like the end goal. Because again, once I get you the money,
what you doing with it?
What you doing with it?
Right.
Seriously.
And you should not be going to Tahiti.
Don't go to Tahiti. We can go to Tahiti when you hit 6 figures. It's 6 months or something like that, and you're in the green. But yeah, we're not going to Tahiti on business credit and then paying $1,500 in interest per month because
Yes. So I think that whole point about needing to have a plan, knowing what they're going to do with the money, knowing like what the business is and what it's about, what like who you're serving, like all of that good stuff is a very, very valid point. Because I hear a lot of people who are like I got my LLC. They got an LLC, but they don't have a business, and they really think that the act of getting the LLC has changed something for them or repositioned them some kind of way.
Right.
And the LLC itself really has done nothing for you unless you have a legitimate business that goes along with it.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So, social media, as you and I both know, is like an amazing thing. I say social media can be a blessing and a curse, right? It depends on like how you use it. Again, just like money is a tool, social media is a tool, right? You just have to learn how to master it. So people are all across social media talking about LLCs, right? But like you said, you can have an LLC, but one, don't get an LLC if you're not going to be doing if you don't know how to properly structure it, because people have LLCs, but guess what? They don't get their business licenses.
Right.
And it's like, so you're just operating with no business license.
Right.
It's like, and you have your articles. So guys, an LLC, right? You are supposed to have like your certificate of formation, articles of organization, whatever it's called, like in your respective state, right? Certain states you have, you can be anonymous. So like like Wyoming, Delaware, things of that nature. Just like different tax benefits, all these different things. But like you said, sometimes someone literally just get an LLC and start operating, and you can get fined if you're not operating the correct way. And then also when it comes to business funding and things like that, people can't get business funding because they don't have like their business address, business phone number. They just put their name on an LLC and keep it moving. They think that's it. And it's like, no, there's so much more to an LLC. Or maybe you need to do a C Corp or S Corp. Like some people just think of LLC, but it's like once you make like over $50,000, then you need to transition into a C Corp or S Corp. Again, ask your CPA. I am not licensed.
Right.
Let me say that. Because I talked to my CPA about my stuff, because I don't know. But yeah, as far as the LLC, a LLC is the first step, but knowing how to do it is the major thing.
Right. And I would say it's probably not even the first step. Because what are you LLC, right?
Yeah.
Does the business exist? Do you have a license? Do you have a product or service? Like,
Right.
do you have a name? Like, all of that. But I think what it really comes down to is that people are on social media.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching these reels of people giving portions of a play
Yes.
that you could make, not even
Yes.
a whole play,
Yeah.
no context around it or anything like that. And then they want to go take action on it thinking it's going to help make them money. It's going to get them rich,
Right.
Quick.
Right.
And all of that. But you got to recognize that in these 30 to 60 second clips, you're not getting life-changing or business-changing advice.
At all. You're not.
You're not getting the full context.
Right.
You're not even understanding how what they're saying applies to you in your particular situation
Right.
or your state
Right.
or your industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's always so many what ifs.
Right.
What ifs.
Right.
Or it depends.
Yeah. No, that is true. I mean, even when you're opening up like something that's so simple, right? We all, well, let me tell y'all this too. Like, there are some people who can't even open up a bank account because, of the check system, right? There's so many different third party industries that report certain details where the banks, they use the check systems, right? To see how many overdrafts you had in like X amount of years, right? And you are seen as a risk if you're overdrafting, right? There's actually some people who, let's just say Chase, right? I think they're always sending something in the mail. Like, if you put $300 in the bank account, you'll get $600 deposited into your account after like 90 days or something like that, right? Again, guys, there's a lot of schemers out here. So people literally will try and turn in something like that into a business but then they start overdrafting their accounts and stuff like that, and the banks will shut it down. So even something that simple where when you're setting up your business, depending on the industry and things like that, you may not even be able to open up a bank account, which is crazy. Imagine you're trying to make money and you can't even open up a bank account because, again, like you said, as far as like the LLC goes and not doing your homework before you even incorporate, you're screwed. Right. You're screwed, for lack of a better term. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't want to knock your desire, right? So it's good that, you're trying to find a way to increase your income, that you want to start a business. But there's a right way to go about it. And the fact that people are trying to take all these shortcuts is reflective of a mindset issue. Right. And it's like, I can bypass the journey to get to the destination, and you really can't. You could potentially shorten the journey by getting help from people who know what they're doing and what they're talking about. But you can't just totally bypass it. And that, again, that's reflective of a mindset issue.
That is.
But all of the things that got you into a position where you might not be able to open that bank account, or you would potentially just waste the money that you get if you got funding, and having a history of overdrafts and bad checks and stuff like that. Your money habits are reflective of your money mindset. So before you even try to launch that business, try to get that business funding. If you know that like your handling of money has not been what it should be, you have to address the money mindset issues. Yes.
I agree with that 100%. It's just doing a deep dive on I think the major thing, and when I started touching different levels of success, because we all have our different definition when it comes to success, right? Somebody may want to make 6 figures, somebody 7, someone 8, someone wants to be better than Elon Musk. I don't know. But like you said, hiring, sometimes you do have to outsource. I'm a huge fan of delegating and outsourcing. That way my stuff doesn't get messed up. So like hiring mentors and things like that. Or if you guys don't know how to properly structure your LLC, you literally hire somebody. Talk with a CPA before you even do all that stuff. Like, hey, these are my goals. These are my plans. These are my projections. How do you think I should incorporate? Doing things like that where you really are setting yourself up for success. And again, back to the tool. Our mind is a tool, using it where we do have like an end goal that isn't just about money. And it's kind of cliche saying money mindset, but I think that's the issue. Like once people realize again that money is a tool, money is not even, honestly guys, money is not even, how can I say it? I want to say money isn't real, but when you do have that mindset, like money is not real, you can print money. Right? Not counterfeit money, but literally like you really can print. Your mind is your printer, is your money printer. So your intellectual property, things like that, once you realize and you put, and again, it's just a mindset, right? I tell people I'm amazing all the time, and I brainwash myself into saying that because even when I have bad days, right, I still say I'm amazing. Like it just rolls off my tongue. And guess what I always say? My heart is beating, right? So I'm just happy to be alive. So how dare I say, oh, I'm terrible. I give myself a few minutes, you know, get the tears out, whatever, and keep it moving. So same thing with the mindset and the money. Like just know that you can print money and you have to keep your mind sharp. So look, read your books, you know, invest in mentors, YouTube University. I love YouTube University. But remember, these 60-second clips that y'all see is not going to get you to plan to letter B, C, or Z. Like you really have to put in the work and dedication in order to make sure that you're getting to the proper mindset when it comes to money.
So how would you recommend our viewers maybe like reflect and identify whether or not they have money mindset issues that are impacting how they handle money, how they think about money, or even whether they deserve more of it?
Let's start with the deserve part, because I love that. Because one of my mentors, he was actually online. This was yesterday. He made a really good point. And this is it's not to get spiritual on anybody, but I'm a God-fearing woman. And he said, because people, again, we want to reach certain levels of success, right? But again, why? And are you ready?
Right.
Because once you pray for it, once you manifest it, whatever vernacular term you want to use, are you ready to touch that type of money? Again, it could be 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. Are you ready for that? Because once you get it, then what, right? So I think, again, I reverse engineer everything that I do now. Like that's just what works for me. Again, if you want to make $1 million, how many sales do you have to do, or how many coaching? Like it's just, again, it's just reverse psychology, right? So as far as like knowing if you have a money mindset, I think it really starts from within, right? So again, you really have to figure out what your why is in order to even get to the next step. Because if you don't know what your why is, you're just going to be stuck. Again, so okay, why am I starting this business? Because I want to make money. Why do you want to make money? Because I want to make it for my family. Why do you want to make it for your family? Because I come from a family where we couldn't go on vacations, we couldn't eat, or we were eating bologna sandwiches, spam sandwiches. Okay, so but why do you want to make money just because you no longer want, just because you want to eat better? Why, like y'all really have to like dig deep within for yourself and like lock yourself in a not in a closet. Well, if you want to go in a closet, flashlight, whatever, but like write it down and get to like your root cause of your why. And that once you figure out your why, at least in my opinion, and like when I speak with my clients and things like that, then that's when the money mindset shifts, right? Because sometimes I can tell you how to get to 1 + 1, right? Cherita can tell me how to get to 1 + 1. You may be a better teacher to 10 people, and then I may resonate with 3 people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's, you really have to just start with yourself, reverse engineer it, and then you will get to like that money mindset as to like, again, why what was the reason as to why you didn't have the money mindset, and how did you get to your money mindset? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so kind of like how did you get to think about money the way that you currently think about it? Whether you know it or not, some of it came from most of it came from your parents. How you grew up. Whether they actually talked about money with you or not. You learned a lot, whether you knew you were learning it. And then, kind of what you've learned from media and other people talking about it, probably from church as well.
Right.
And then, like, attached to the mindset piece is your money skills, right?
Right.
And, like, did you actually ever learn how to manage money? Did you learn how to grow money?
Right.
Did you learn how to keep money?
Right. Look, I blew a lot of money. It took a while to learn.
Right. And the thing is, really what we want you to get is that it doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter what your experience has been with money over the years. Like, you can shift that narrative today if you're willing to shift the mindset. And sometimes you can do that on your own. Like, if you learn to be really reflective and tell yourself the truth about what you were taught, why you do the things you do, and have a sincere desire to change those behaviors. Because nothing you read or anything anybody tells you is going to mean anything if you don't actually want to change your relationship with money.
Right. That is, and I will say this too. I'm glad that you brought up the, so as far as money, we do interpret it because we make our own definition of it based on like the events and our upbringing and things like that, like you said. So for me, my dad, he would show me like $40,000 checks when I was younger. So but then I'm also thinking, so I come from like two households, love them. They're all my parents, very near and true and dear to my heart, right? But when I was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, some of the concepts that Robert Kiyosaki was talking about, I'm like, man, this is actually like kind of crazy because one of my dads, he has owned his own business for like 30 plus years or something like that. Like he was eating peanut butter and jellies for a year straight, didn't get a haircut. If he did get a haircut, he would cut it himself, right? So he was eating out the brown paper bag, and he saved up enough money to purchase a landscaping business. So that's on that aspect, right? So my one dad, and then my stepmom, she worked for like the court. It's crazy how sometimes you remember what everybody does, but she worked in the courthouse. She's retired now. And then my mom, she still works traditional job. And then my other dad, he retired from Newcastle County. So he was a lieutenant for Newcastle County, but they didn't understand certain aspects of me when I would get into my entrepreneurship journey. Like my mom encouraged it 100%. She was the reason why I started selling candy. But when they found out that I was leaving my 6-figure job, they were like, what? And then my dad was like, let's go, boo. My other dad was like, let's go, boo. Yeah. So it's like night and day. Now they see, they're like, man, you're like really so proud of you. But we were nervous. I said, I know y'all were nervous.
Right.
And I appreciate both sides. And I think that's what helped me get to where I am today. Because even though my dad showed me $40,000 checks, so me seeing those things, it never really fazed me, right? But then on the other side, I was still able to talk about money with my mom, not necessarily my other dad. Didn't really talk too much about it, but it was like an equal balance that I needed. I like seeing both sides versus I don't know if I was just accustomed to seeing $40,000 checks, $20,000 checks. Would I even try putting myself in a position where I am today, or would I still be looking like, oh, daddy, I need this, I need that. You know what I mean? So I'm happy with the definition that I came up with and like my money mindset. So let this be a testimony for you guys to even think of it that way. Like, it doesn't matter if you come from a family who makes a lot of money, middle class. It doesn't really matter your social economic status. It just really comes down to you cultivating and conjuring up like what is your definition of a money mindset. And like you said, you can really decide, you can change your definition every day, which I think is great. So when every fresh 24 that we get, you can always change it until the definition makes sense for you.
All right, so with that, we're going to wrap this segment. But before we do, I want Toresha to let you know how you can connect with her and learn more about what she does.
Yes, guys. So it's Teresha's financial tips across all. So what we have? We have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's literally the same for each one. Teresha's financial tips. So TORESHAS financial tips. So if you guys just search me in Google, everything will pop up.
All right, so be sure to check her out. And I'm pretty sure there's only one of her out there.
Just one, guys.
So you
Might
shouldn't
have
have
to
any
clone
trouble.
maybe one day, but just one of me right now.
All right, so stay tuned for what's next on The Coaches Are In.
All right, welcome everyone. I am so excited about my guests on tonight. So we have the lovely Natasha and Lynette. And when I tell you, sometimes you never really realize who you're among, what people have been through and what they've experienced. But they're going to share their story in their own words as to why we thought it was so important to highlight them. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for coming on and participating and sharing information with the community. So we're talking about breast cancer awareness. And I have had the pleasure of meeting these young ladies and kind of just learning so much about what it means and what's important, and more importantly, what's important to them and how they continue to thrive. So can you briefly share your personal breast cancer story with us? And these are twins. So these are twin sisters, and they have both experienced a diagnosis with breast cancer. So I want to know a little bit about, tell us how you were diagnosed. How did you discover your diagnosis? And we could start with you, Natasha.
I also say, well, we could go to Lynette because Lynette got it before I did. So
okay, all right.
My story segues after hers.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start with Lynette. Thanks, Lynette.
Okay, no problem. So at the age of 27, I noticed a lump. I was in the shower and I noticed a lump actually in my underarm, not even in my breast first, in my underarm. And I'm like, wait, this is not right. Like, what is going on? And then I could feel a small, it felt like a rock, a small pebble in my breast. So I went to my family doctor. Of course, they would say, oh, it's nothing, you're okay. But still, my family doctor was really good and was like, we're going to get you an emergency appointment and we're going to get you scanned. And so I had to get a mammogram. And I thought, okay, I'm okay. I'm fine. It could be my deodorant. That's what I thought. And it turned out to be breast cancer at the age of 27. Yeah. So I was married for 2 years, almost. And my son, almost 3 years. And my son was 2.
Wow.
So full-time working and diagnosed with breast cancer. From there, everything went really quickly. My tumor, I to be honest with you, Tasha is a lot better with her story as far as the size and diagnosis. For me, I did not want to know what stage, but it was bad because my tumor was pretty big. So I had to get 6 rounds of chemo, 30 days of radiation, and I had to get a double mastectomy. When I got my chemo, after the 3rd treatment, they had to stop my treatment. So my tumor was shrinking so quickly that they had to stop and take the tumor out. So they had proof that I even had breast cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. So completed the chemo, completed the radiation, went into the journey of doing reconstruction. And the plastic surgeon said, have you thought about genetics testing? I'm like, I don't know. No one said anything to me about it. And he said, I don't want to give you plastic surgery, and then you come back to me 5 years from now and your other side is affected.
Okay.
So I went and got the genetics testing and found out that I was BRCA positive, right, Tasha? She holds part of my story, right? So I found out I was BRCA1. And so from there, he said, well, you should just by that time I had a single mastectomy. He did the other side though.
Okay.
If it wasn't for the plastic surgeon, it probably would have came back because it was genetic.
Wow.
So that was my journey pretty much. Losing my hair, but still working. I worked every day except the weeks I had chemo. Raising a 2-year-old. So my son would go to New York while I had treatment, and then he would come back. My husband works in the prison. So it was really tough.
Stressful.
If I didn't have family and friends and coworkers, I don't know how I would have made it through. And then also with my faith in God, like that was my anchor. I know I wouldn't have made it, but it was my faith that pulled me through. So that's my story.
Thank you for sharing that. That was like very inspiring, actually. The way you describe it doesn't make me feel sad for you. It makes me feel that empowerment in your story. So I thank you for sharing. And twin, so you take us on your journey.
So Lynette, she was 27, and she had told me, Tasha, the doctor said that you need to go get a BRCA, you need to go get tested because we're twins. Even though if you're identical, there's a 99% chance that you'll end up having it as well. But because we're fraternal, that might not happen. I had just gotten a mammogram in August because my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, because they normally don't let you have a mammogram until you're 40. But because my twin sister was diagnosed, I got a mammogram, everything was clear. But in September, I felt like this little tiny, it was just like a lump. And I told Lynette. And so I called my doctor, and the doctor said, oh yeah, you have a 1 centimeter tumor in your breast. She was real lackadaisical about it. She was like, okay, I'll schedule you out 2 months to come back. And I came back. Well, I kept calling her because from those 2 months, a 1 centimeter tumor turned into a 10.5 centimeter tumor. And it was as big as a baseball on the side of my breast. And when I told her, I felt like the cancer was growing. She said it was just the blood from the biopsy. She had scheduled me an appointment. I'd already had an appointment with the oncologist. I met my oncologist, and my oncologist looked at me and she said, this doesn't look like the lump that the doctors put in your stuff. And I'm like, I know. So she tested it. The cancer grew within 2 months, and it spread to my underarm and it spread to my chest. So it went from stage 1 to about stage 3. So she had to do emergency chemo. I got 8 rounds of chemo and 28 rounds of radiation. I also was checked for BRCA1. I have the genetic trait as well. Go figure. I got a double mastectomy, and because my cancer was estrogen positive, and I'm BRCA1, they told me I needed to just go get a full hysterectomy by the time I was 35, but we took care of that before. And at my first round of chemo, it's almost like my sister's. My first round of chemo, the tumor shrunk from 10.5 down back to 1 centimeter, and then by the second round of chemo, it was gone. So that's my story.
Just a blessing in it. Oh, well, I thank you for sharing that. It just sounds so courageous. I really want to know, what was the emotional impact, right, going through this? Like, how can you kind of discuss the emotional impact of being diagnosed, for one, and then especially within the context of being twins? Like, it's like, did you find more support with being twins? Did you find it like, a negative impact? Like, what was the emotional impact through this challenge?
I would say for me, it was really tough emotionally. I think it felt isolating, right? Because I'm young. And everyone around me who has gone through it was a lot older, a lot. People who would mentor me were like in their 40s or 60s. So it wasn't a lot they could tell me. So there was a lot of time where I felt like I was by myself. Not that I was, it just felt that way because no one could understand really what I was going through as a young survivor. Right. I had the support of my sister. I had the support of my friends, but that journey really does kind of isolate you a little bit. You kind of reflect on your life and think about, wow, okay, I'm only 27. There's a whole bunch of stuff I need to do. Like, wait. So you kind of like reflect. So I think for me, it was like kind of isolating, but then it was kind of liberating, right? Because I think I was a little more timid. Maybe not as outspoken. That kind of changed. It changed a little bit. I speak up a lot more for myself.
Okay.
I'm saying what I have to say. So I think it helps you to kind of like reflect over your life and kind of like, oh, look, wait, I need to change this.
Right.
I can dial this back a little bit.
No, that makes sense. What about you, Natasha? Emotional impact?
The emotional piece for me, I always looked at cancer as it's not just a battle of the body, but it's definitely a battle of the mind. And so for me, I was 30. So emotionally, it was a lot. It was hard. But I think the piece that definitely helped me through this was seeing my sister go through this first. Because she was so strong through it all, and she made it. That gave me hope, because I don't know what it would have been like if I didn't see my sister go through it. So just seeing her go through it, she encouraged me. And she told me, if I made it through, you're going to make it through. That definitely empowered me. And during that time, emotionally, I cut out a lot of folks that, would call and be like, oh my gosh, I knew so-and-so and they died from this.
No.
So I would just put do not answer on those people. I would just watch things that were funny and just wanted to be around things that made me feel good. Because I know that the doctor, our surgeon told us your attitude determines your altitude with this fight. So although it was hard and it was a battle of the mind, I found a lot of strength, a lot of hope. Found a lot of hope.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's good that you had that support. And you both shared a story similar as to how the doctors in the beginning kind of didn't really, I won't say they didn't take it seriously, however you would describe that. But we know that Black women often face the disparities with breast cancer outcomes. So can you just give me a little bit about what that felt like? Because from my understanding, it sounds like they weren't really listening to you. Either one of you want to say that, answer that?
Yeah, I would say for me, I remember the day getting my diagnosis. I remember how the room looked it felt dark. It didn't feel like, it wasn't like bright lights, like sterile. It was like they dimmed the room lights to say, hey, you got breast cancer. Your percentage is this. If you live beyond 5 years, is this. And my doctor came in so sad, like I was going to die because I was young. And I feel like because it was so long ago, she probably felt like she doesn't have a chance. Right. And I don't blame them. Like, you got to imagine she's telling multiple people within a day you have cancer, and it's older people who she probably doesn't feel have a chance either. But I remember that day I was like, ma'am, this is going to be the last day. You're going to come here frowning. When you see me, we're happy because I'm fine. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And then I think for her, she was like, oh, okay, this one, she's not the same. Like, I can't do that with her. So I'm like, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be fine.
Yes.
So I think that I don't blame the doctor. I think it's tough. I feel like everything runs together. And while you try to be compassionate and have empathy, it's like, she didn't want to seem like, oh yeah, you're going to make it. And then I'm like, ma'am, you're too happy.
Right.
She tried to play the middle a little bit.
All right.
For me, my story was a little different.
I was like, Natasha looking like, wait, let me get it in.
It wasn't the same.
It was not the same, nor was it the same perspective.
Okay.
She gave me 2 months and was like, come back in 2 months. And when every time I told her it was growing, she kind of like brushed it off. to the point where after I met with my oncologist, I actually went to University of Penn and I went up there and got a second opinion. And they were asking the question like, why didn't she do anything about this when you told her it was growing?
Yeah.
And it was bad. And I was upset because I felt like, because I'm young, you know, I think the age piece played a big part in it. Because I'm young, you have time. It's okay. But another professional had told me, because you're young, you know, the cancer grew faster. But she said your age worked for you as well because your body was strong enough to fight it. But I definitely felt she did not take it as serious as I felt like she was supposed to, even with the whole, and I think they've improved on this now. Like, you go get blood work done and it would take a week for them to get back to you on your test results. And it was more or less, there was an urgency on our part because, hold on, this is my life. But for them, it was just like, it's another day at work. And I get it because it is another day at work. But I know that they've changed that to now where they tell you the same day your results. But there was definitely a disparity. And I think I agree with you with Black women, whether it's giving you the option to freeze your eggs because they may not feel like you might not have the finances for that. There's a lot that goes on. So I definitely believe that there's a disparity with African-American women and doctors in breast cancer.
Right. Wow. I think, you know, when we're talking about breast cancer, we know that that's very serious. I think I've talked with many women who feel like they're not being heard on any level. This is what's wrong with me. This is what I'm feeling. They're like, oh, you're fine. It's just this. So it's very interesting that you both had similar instances, but just kind of like a different perspective on it, just based on what was going on with you. So thank you for sharing that too. So with all that being said, have you been involved in any breast cancer advocacy or any community organizations that kind of focus on Black women's health? Or how can you get others involved in such an effort? Like, tell us about that.
So from our journey, especially for me, so when my journey started and they told me I had breast cancer and they give you a social worker, they give you the pink envelope, a little folder. And you're like, okay, you go through it and you see DBCC. So I'm like, okay.
That's Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition.
Yeah, Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition. Thanks, Tosh. So I'm like, okay, looking through it. I'm like, okay, I'll call them, talk to them. They said they would have a mentor for me. They sent me somebody who had kids. They were Caucasian, nothing against them. That's what they had at that time. And I spoke to the person once and I was like, I don't want to talk to them anymore. So my friend's mother, her line sister, she had breast cancer. She survived it. She was up there in age. She was kind of like my mentor. I could call her and ask any question. I had a woman at my job who was older, Caucasian lady, but I knew her and I felt comfortable with asking her questions. But there was no one who looked like me who was my age.
Right.
And I felt like, dang, like I can't talk to anybody. Even when it came to my hair, like a nurse tried to offer me a wig that was like Betty White style. Like, I was like, wait, hold on.
Like, no, that ain't me, girl.
Yeah, no. So from my journey and then also being able to encourage my sister, we formed a support group for women of color under the umbrella of Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition called My Sister's Keeper. And we have been going for, I believe, 7 years now. And it just started with like, let's just start to meet with women of color. I think we can, pull this support group thing, together. And we looked up like how to start a support group and what should we talk about, found a location, set a date. And we went from there and we were meeting once a month in Kent County, in Camden, as a matter of fact. And now 7 years later, even through the pandemic, we're meeting in all 3 counties.
That's awesome.
It's so amazing because I don't know if 7 years ago we thought we would be here, especially going through the pandemic. We thought, oh, people are still they're not going to be done. Right. But we've had people from out of state, so I believe it's amazing. I think that My Sister's Keeper is making an amazing impact and it's just growing.
For sure. That is awesome. Yes, that's sort of like how you turn that, that experience into something, you saw a need and you decided that you were going to fill that need. So that is truly amazing. Bless you both on that. Well, as we wrap up, I just want to know, like, looking back on your experience, what words of encouragement with all that you shared, or words of wisdom would you like to share with other Black women who may be battling breast cancer, or just supporting someone who is?
So I will say our slogan for My Sister's Keeper is fight, endure, survive. And Lois, she's Wilkerson. Is that her last name? Wilkinson. I steal this from her. She tells us the day that you're diagnosed is the day you're a survivor. So that's my words of encouragement.
That's good.
Fight, endure, survive. The day that you are diagnosed, you're a survivor. And it's a battle of the mind. So fill your mind with things that are positive, with hope, with love, and have those around you who encourage you to do the same.
Absolutely. In everything.
Yeah, in everything. I would say for women going through breast cancer, stay encouraged. Look for someone else who's a survivor. It is something every time I would meet someone who says they're a survivor, I met this lady, I say it all the time, 25 years. And that was at the start of my journey. She said, oh yeah, 25 years. I'm like, I'm encouraged. I'm there. That's going to be me. So
I will be there.
About to celebrate 14 years.
Yes.
Who would have thought that, right? So I would say definitely getting support with others who have gone through what you've gone through is therapeutic. I would say fight, like my sister said, fight, endure, survive. It really is the battle of the mind. And if you give up,
you get what you
get it. You're gonna get you're gonna reap what you sow. But don't be afraid to stick up for yourself. Don't be afraid to advocate and know your body. I can't say that enough. Doctors see so many patients within a year. There's no way they're going to be able to remember a little stone or something in your body. You have to remember that if you have to document it. I went this day and I felt this, do it. I'd rather do that and advocate for myself than not have my life because I didn't take the time out to take care of myself.
And that's the simplest, like the both of the word. I mean, all of the words of wisdom that you ladies shared is it's simple, right? It's things that you don't think about, but it's important to advocate for yourself and know for yourself how you feel. And if that, and looking for people who can, that resonates with them as well as instead of hearing people giving you the doom and gloom. So, oh, I just love it. I love it. I love you guys. Thank you for sharing. If anyone wants to get involved with I Am My Sister's Keeper, how do we do that?
So they can go to Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition. I think it's dbcc.com. .org. If they go under the survivorship programs, they'll see a list of every program that's there for DBCC, and they can see My Sister's Keeper.
Well, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Continued blessings on everything that you do. And thank you for giving your stories to encourage people who need it. You never know who you may be able to touch. So thanks again.
Thank you for having
us. Thank you. Yes.
So for everyone else, stay tuned for what is next on The Coaches Are In.
All right, so that is it for this episode of The Coaches Are In. We hope that you got something out of this that is going to help propel you to the next level of your life. So we just want to remind you that we do need your support. So please subscribe if you have not yet. Like and share about The Coaches Are In with your network. We would really appreciate it. And if you are interested in being one of our guest experts, or maybe you know a Black woman in the community who is doing some great work and want to have them recognized for what they're doing, you can just visit thecoachesrn.com and fill out the appropriate form. In touch with you. And I think that's it. For now. All right, so we will see you the same time, the same place next week. Yes. But for now, the coaches are out.